2, 1, and we're back in the room. Everybody, welcome back from that short break. I hope you've all done everything you needed to do to prepare yourself for the second phase of this show. We're back. I'm not even going to say whether there were technical hitches. That was just deliberate. It was too good. We had to go and charge up our gins and tonics. There's been plenty of people drinking plenty of boozes on there. I think there's a little like one-upmanship thing going on. I'm sure somebody was drinking gold wine earlier or something like that. So that's pretty good. But Sarah, how are you? Are we back?
We are back, and thank you everyone for your patience, and thank you to Rosanna and Marcus for dealing with no slides whatsoever. So a totally different PK format was brought to you this evening. So thank you very much, and welcome back everyone. So we will move swiftly on to our next speaker. Scott Harberton is joining us from Lincolnshire, and he came into cake later in life, and you're about to find out why. So he has a different and entertaining perspective to share on his newfound love of cakes. Scott's talk goes cake deep into the what, why, how, where of cake. Who doesn't like cake?
I like cake. So, that's one thing, certainly. I'm looking forward to this. Thank you.
So,
that's my name. Thank you. So I'm ready to go when you are, Sarah. Thank you for the introduction.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to mute myself.
I can't hear you. Hello. So Sarah asked me to do a talk, and I thought to myself, what would be a good topic? And cake popped into my mind for some reason without really remembering that cake is really quite significant for me in a nice way. Cake, I think, is very important for us because we have maybe a limited number of cakes for some of us throughout our lifetimes. Birthdays sometimes, yes, weddings sometimes, but generally quite a finite number of those. They tend to be special occasions, and very much so on a fairly limited basis for that reason, for weddings and for birthdays. I'm just checking if the slide has failed already, Sarah. Ah, yes. So birthdays, as we say, which is a lovely thing to do. Very good indeed. And everyone is a great fan of that, but not me. I, unfortunately, as my parents discovered on a very unhappy birthday, am terribly allergic to eggs. So I actually was terribly allergic to eggs one year. Thank you, Sarah. And accidentally had a bit of a hospital emergency, which means I can't have cakes, or rather didn't have cakes for a long time. That allergy has now gone away, so I'm now newly, at the age of 30 plus, discovering cakes for myself, which I'm very happy to say. I don't have the joy of learning it from a young age, like some of you have, surely. I've had to approach it in a very scientific way, using eggs in one corner versus a newly found mathematical and programming / business approach to this, breaking the problem down in different parts, trying to find out all about cakes. What is a cake? What is an egg? And how does an egg make a cake, for example? Trying to find out what actually goes together to make it in a certain way. So it's a difficult journey. From somebody who's phobic of eggs, it's very challenging actually to approach putting various numbers of eggs into cakes, but I'm assured that it is quite a good equation of trying to figure out what's going on in terms of the numbers. So fluffy is one side, dense is the other. For myself, when I started off, I had little success, very small successes. But it's not about the recipe only, it's a cultural thing. So we see here a cake which I would not dare eat. So this is a royal cake of sorts. So many tiers, many flowers, many plants around it for some reason. Are they cakes? I don't know. But we can see certainly that it's not just about the recipe. Cakes have trended quite well over the last, say, 300 years or so in terms of the popularity. We see more recent trends really because of the Great British Bake Off, and let's say the word cupcakes and pop cakes and other forms of cakes around that, which have taken off for different reasons. But really, the trends have all been pushed by this wonderful lady, Mary Berry, who I have grown to love as my education in cakes has continued. Curiously more popular in Northern Ireland, but we'll live with that. But she really has been a very much so a cultural corner pin, really, of cake starting for me. The soggy bottom is very key for learning about what's going on. Cakes are very important. Mary Berry is not related to this slide here. There was literally a cake war. In 1840s, there was a war based around cake. That's how important they were. in 1840s or so in Mexico. The French and the Mexicans went out and tried to figure out a bit of an argument based around a cake shop at that point. Also, the famous important Jaffa cake argument: is the Jaffa cake a biscuit or a cake? Who knows? The lawyers know. It is officially a cake. Cakes are not subject to VAT. That is how important they are. So I just wanted to check to myself how important a cake was, and that is getting somewhere into saying what they are. You can measure Jaffa cakes in many ways, but not like that. As an engineer, I wanted to break this down a bit more. So we looked at how you can consider a cake in terms of the color, yeah, absolutely, but also the richness of it, the weight of it, the density. Is there some juicy fruit in it? What is in this cake to make it so special? I had the joy of going down and figuring out really how to make a cake. Physically is one part which fascinated me. You look at it there and it's like different layers of things and outsides and insides, and you break it down very well there. From the basic mix, of course, into the different parts, which is which is a really cool part of the argument. As an engineer, of course, I prefer some structural cakes. So here we see a fantastic example on the less adventurous side, but certainly where I prefer to be, of using a bit of wood, MDF maybe, in constructing that cake, which gets away from the recipe a little bit, but really is what I appreciate in cake making. So it's all about the right decoration, yes, but making it come together in a way which doesn't seem quite possible. Here we see a pie chart about cake. And if you were interested in this at all, in the bottom left is a cake chart. So that, with the different divisions of how you divide that area up, is a cake chart, which does exist. But I asked my parents and my mum and my sister about how they defined the best cake. And I literally came at it with a questionnaire trying to figure out the best way of doing it. No one gave the straight answer. In my industry, we use things like this, so quality, QFD, house, etc., trying to figure out how these things really come together. Some people like the crusty flavor on the outside, some people like the sweetness, some people like the fruit. People have different preferences they prefer. And I came at it from quite a scientific way to try and define what that was. It came back to something more like this, whereby we have a very pretty cake on one side and a very hands-on cake on the other. For me, I prefer the more hands-on cake. I don't mind destroying that cake, putting it in my mouth very quickly. Others might like that one, the rainbow cake, for its more flavor, more nice. But the amount of variation out there is so high, really, that approaching it from a scientific perspective was very challenging. People argue, are these cakes? It's a cheesecake. Maybe not. Who knows? But in terms of defining that perfect cake for each person, from each nationality, from each history, is incredibly difficult. Apart from one example of a very functional cake, this cake here, I think, is about 100 years old or so, which was used to be a very strong food source for Antarctic explorers or similar, where they had a very functional cake, not that pretty, but very energy rich in terms of going to the on exploring expeditions. So a good way there. For me personally, I think this is the last slide, sadly, or second to last. My favorite cake, which I'll admit doesn't taste that nice sometimes, is a marble cake, because my grandma made it. If anybody asks me what my favorite cake is, science there or not science there, it's going to be a marble cake, because that's what my memory holds in terms of being there. This is a very honorable mention. M&S's Colin cake. Anybody getting married or such like, there are now different versions of Colin cakes which are famous around the world, I'm sure. There's a wedding Colin cake and other functions Colin cake as well. So do look at what other types of cake there are around there, which can be for your personal thoughts. Thank you very much.
Like, generally speaking, I'm not a fan of science, but when it's put to good use like that, I completely approve. So that was marvelous. There were a couple of thoughts I had about your presentation, if you don't mind. One, cake deep is a phrase I will be cross-stitching soon. I think there should have been a warning about that Mary Berry picture. That was, I mean, I know it's a Friday night and everything, but crumbs, that was a shocker. And then my only other thought is, it turns out that cake has an anti-gelling agent, and jelly has an anti-caking agent, which means in the universe, there's a spectrum of jelly and cake. And I guess somehow trifle sits in the middle of it. But if you ever want to continue your research, there's a topic for you, my friend. Congratulations.
That was slide 21. Thank you very much.
Sarah.
Thank you. That was brilliant, Scott. Thank you very much. So our next speaker is Stefano Lagatta. He's a professional viola player from Italy. and music came into his life as an unexpected gift. He feels privileged to have the opportunity to speak to the soul of people concert after concert. Now, I don't normally mention how we find our speakers, but this one's different. Stefano and I met walking on the Camino de Santiago in Spain 8 years ago. So it's a walk across Spain, which typically is about 900 kilometers, and that's how we know each other. So this is the first time that we've met since. So Stefano, welcome.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Csa, for the invitation.
It's brilliant to have you here. As you can see, Stefano has his viola just to the side of him. We're going to do a presentation with the difference, and as you've just witnessed, technology has been challenging us today, so we're going to challenge it some more. So let's nervous laughter there. Hopefully this works. We're going to play. Basically, Stefano recorded his presentation in advance, and you'll understand why as you watch it. And just to let you know that when you see the second part of it, the slides that Stefano is showing us are images of places that he's been to that have been really important to him within his musical career. So I do hope you enjoy this, and fingers crossed this works.
Hi everyone, I'm Stefano, an Italian viola player. I live near Bologna in northern Italy, but I was born in south. In this pic you can see Matera, one of the most beautiful cities of southern Italy, where I started my musical studies. This photo was taken the day of my graduation. I was not a child prodigy. In fact, I discovered music only when I was 16. At that time, I listened to a song which had a violin playing in it, and I started to be curious about classical music. At first, my idea was to play just as a hobby, and music was helping me to overcome my teenage issues. Later, I discovered Bach music through his wonderful work, the six sonatas and partitas for solo violin. One of those pieces was an epiphany, the Chacona from the second partita. After having listened to it, I said to myself, oh wow, I want to do that. Eventually, I played it in both of my graduations. I started first with violin and viola came later. After playing violin for 3 years, I had a gig with some friends in a string quartet, and in that occasion I heard the sound of viola played live for the first time. Its warm and nostalgic sound made me fall in love. After that, I started to study viola as a principal instrument. Currently, I'm a freelance musician. I play my viola in many different situations, from duo to orchestra. And I am also a teacher, a work that I particularly love. My dream is to play in a string quartet, that it's kind of a musical imprinting to me, because all of my viola teachers used to be members of string quartet. What I love about music is that concert after concert, it gives me the opportunity to speak to the soul of many people worldwide, even if I never met them before. Music also forces you to stay humble. You can be the greatest player of all the time, but at the end of the day, your mission is to show how beautiful is music and not how virtuoso you are. As you might have guessed, I'm going to play some Bach for you. I'm playing the Adagio of the first sonata from the six sonatas and partitas for solo violin, transcribed for viola. This Adagio is the opening of the whole opera. It's a very important piece for me, and I'm glad that Sarah gave me the opportunity to share with you all. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.
That is emotional stuff. Beautiful. Sarah told me that if the fundraising for ecotherapy this evening hits £500, then we will be launching a short video combining Stefano's music with Tom's wood whittling as the ultimate soothing tool for everybody. So get your coffers rattling, everybody. Beautiful. Well done.
Thanks, Stefano. It was amazing. And it worked. It was really, really beautiful. So on to our next speaker. We don't pause in this event. We just keep on going through. So Ali Jeffrey. Ali loves making things and growing things, all kinds of things. And she has a lifelong interest in environmental issues and sustainability. These two combine in her passion for local, seasonal, organic food and her work for a community-supported agriculture scheme just near Leamington, the very one that Tom and Csa Ingle, Tom who spoke earlier, set up. Ali will almost certainly get you thinking about where your food comes from. So Ali, welcome to Pecha Kucha.
Thank you.
And Kcha Kcha.
Oh, I'm still saying Pecha Kucha, aren't I? After all
I'm
of
here
that.
for. Don't worry, we got it. As long as you say it right, they'll let us carry on.
Oh, I said I would call it PK. No, it didn't happen. So, okay, so I will mute myself and then just let me know.
Okay, yeah, ready when you are. My guess is that over the past 3 months, you've been thinking a bit more than usual about where your food comes from, whether the empty shelves in the supermarket have highlighted the fragility of our just-in-time supermarket system, or you've been overcome by a previously unknown desire to grow something, anything, and have raided your cupboards and supermarket veg for seeds that you could sow. Maybe you've now grown something you've then eaten. It seems the slides are not changing. Oh, now they are. A pot of herbs on the windowsill, some strawberry plants, tomatoes on the patio, an apple tree or more. Does anyone even grow all or most of the produce their household eats? For most people in the UK, their food has an unknown history. The growers are unknown people, and the land is far removed from where the eater lives. Over hundreds of years, there's been an increasing gap between control of the production of the food we eat and the consumer. Much of the control today lies at the hands of multinational companies. But there is another way, dating back to the 1970s in its modern form. It's called Community Supported Agriculture, CSA. A producer makes a commitment to a group of people to grow certain foods, and the people make a commitment to buy that food. The first community farm initiatives were in Japan and were called Teikei, meaning partnership or alliance. The first one had a 4-year lead-in as the farmer educated potential consumers through a discussion group before making an agreement with 10 families to grow rice, wheat and vegetables for them in exchange for money and labour. This approach continues to develop in Japan to this day. Separately, and at the same time, a similar model of agriculture developed in Europe, the USA, and other places around the world, stemming from the European biodynamic farming approach and the ideas of Rudolf Steiner and E.F. Schumacher. Although in the UK, we started off with box schemes with little consumer involvement, now since the early noughties, CSAs involving a partnership between the farmer and the consumer have also become more and more widespread. A CSA called Canalside Community Food, established near Leamington Spa in 2006 with around 30 member households at first. It is now a highly successful scheme, providing fresh produce year-round to 180 local households. With a considerable waiting list for new members, like many CSAs in England, there is clear demand for this way of producing food. So find out how it works, and maybe this talk will sow a seed that will grow into a CSA somewhere else. CSAs build links between farmers and consumers. They share both the risks and rewards of farming. Members support the farm by paying a share of costs and contributing some labour each year in return for a regular share of the harvest. Decision-making can be shared between the growers and the consumers through members taking part in annual general meetings or being members of a management committee. CSAs bring with them many benefits to the environment, to people, and to the local economy and community. Most CSAs are certified organic or work along similar lines, for example, biodynamic. On an organic farm, instead of using chemical fertilizers, soil fertility is built with the application of animal waste and through the cultivation of green manures when the land is resting. Only organic approved methods of pest control can be used, and providing significant field margins and hedgerow cover supports wildlife throughout the food chain, from scarlet pimpernel through hoverflies and skylarks, right up to grass snakes and buzzards. A diverse ecosystem is also resilient and can withstand pests and diseases, meaning the crops benefit too. Wildlife-friendly farming practices are used, organically managing the soil and limiting soil disturbance, for example by hand weeding, enhances the structure of the soil and builds a rich diversity of microbial organisms. CSAs aim to recruit from their local area, with members collecting individually or on a shared basis from the farm or a local distribution hub. In some cases, the produce is delivered direct to members' households. All the work of the CSA is done by local people, from growing the produce through to HR and accounting. The money paid to the CSA for the most part stays within the local economy. CSAs also provide volunteering opportunities for members and the wider community, a chance to develop new skills and learn new things. Visits to the farm by schools and members of the public give the chance for people from the wider local community to learn about the farm and its work through tours, talks, and educational activities. CSA farming brings agriculture back to a very human scale. Members know personally who is growing their food, and the grower feels supported by the community around them. Conventional farming is typically a very isolated profession with high suicide rates. Produce is harvested just before the members receive it. Field to fork can be just a few hours for some produce. As crops are grown to match the seasonal conditions, the consumer has a direct connection with the seasons and the turning of the year. Connecting with others, learning new things, and giving time all bring mental health benefits. These are 3 of the ways to well-being used by Ecotherapy and Foundry Wood, who we're supporting through this evening's ticket sales. Being outside in nature is also good for mental well-being. Members of CSAs who join in with the work at the farm can experience these benefits too. Many CSAs in the UK have a waiting list, so there is clearly demand for local food. All that's needed now are people to help develop it with more schemes of this type. To find out more about CSAs and even how to set one up, go to the CSA network, where there is a wealth of resources.
Woo. Hey. Well done there, Ali. That was a good job. I've just finished, well, I'm working my way through Isabella Tree's Wilding books, and I asked Sarah whether we could have a full and frank discussion about the benefit of rhizomes to the local eco-culture, and she said, no, Jamie, this isn't the time or place. Get back in your box. That was brilliant. Well done.
Thank you.
Really pleased with yourself. I do just want to, one of the YouTube comments came up from someone called Brogan, who said that they call this event Pikachu. I feel like, Sarah, that might be your saving grace there. I think you can get away with that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Brogan actually deserves a mention. Brogan is the organizer of London Pikachu.
Well, if she can get away with it, surely.
And I should actually say that at the last event, I never got the chance or remembered, I should really say, to say thank you to Brogan, because she's actually the one that showed me how to use this technology. So without her, this wouldn't be happening. So thanks, Brogan, and it's great that you could join us today. So on to Daniel Mason, speaker number 8. Daniel Mason is a serial entrepreneur currently working on the Remedy project. The project explores design thinking as a means to solve the problems we face as individuals in our increasingly complex world. So thank you for joining us, Daniel. I will just screen share now.
Thank you, Sarah.
And let me know when you're ready.
Yep, ready when you are. A cliff that is large enough only to hold my footprint. Raging fires, islands in the distance. Is this hell? Is this chaos? Each island a fallacy, vain attempts to bring some meaning. Heavy start, I know. An excerpt from a blog I had written in December 29 in Tokyo. I was successful by the trusty markers of society, yet I felt lost, perplexed, in a fog of chaos. I found it impossible to distinguish what was relevant or irrelevant to me. I had no direction in life. A quote from Thoreau, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. This desperation was the product of the nagging feeling I was wasting my life, a perpetual state of dissatisfaction." Phillips Brooks commented that those in this predicament feel the thing they ought to be beating beneath the thing they are. If I ignored these feelings for too long, then I would be forever haunted by what might have been. But now in 2020, there's an added complexity to this dilemma. We live in an increasingly complex world, which we are finding harder and harder to navigate. Tech penetrating our lives. We are paralyzed by the paradox of choice. Decisions become less likely. Another quote from the Book of Changes, one of the ancient Chinese classics from around 8th century BC. Unlimited possibilities are not suited to man. If they existed, his life would only dissolve in the boundless. The old support systems of the past have fallen by the wayside. Religions, universal causes to believe in, tribes, communities, we're all cast adrift without any higher sense of purpose. We often go one of two ways: security in a job we loathe, slave to an organization, or radical freedom and autonomy in the digital world that dazzles us. I chose the latter, the 4-hour work week. Both will cost us down the line. Present in body and absent in spirit, he lies back on the couch, shamed by his own potentials in his soul that will not be subdued. Solution: more work, more money, more drink, more weight, more things, more infotainment. Mental health is the zeitgeist of the times. The mentally ill used to be sane or insane, but now everybody's off. It's clear with the emergence of this mental health movement that we aren't quite dealing all too well with our reality. And now, confession, the title of this talk is design as remedy, as in design thinking, a process to innovate and develop new concepts. My attempts were to try and use this framework in order to navigate life, but the further I explored, the more I realized there are bigger things at play. And that's why these slides are like this. I couldn't just go ahead and stick design thinking in as a proposed solution. And is it only my problem? Am I the man who thinks too much, who stands back from his life and never lives it? Maybe. Caught in a web of pros and cons about his decisions and lost in a labyrinth of reflective meanderings from which he cannot extricate himself? Perhaps. But Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, said that many people in the West are afflicted by debilitating feelings of insignificance, inadequacy, and hopelessness. He called it a spiritual problem. Jung was so acutely aware that sense-making in a world that often seems at the whim of arbitrary forces is no easy feat. I believe that the overarching reason that people fail to find meaning in their lives is because modern individuals, by and large, search for a meaning where it cannot be found. In externals and objectivity, money, status, Instagram followers, science, even their nation, finding a meaningful life narrative has been made harder by the decline in religion. Now, I'm not religious, but it did act as a buffer to some harsh truths of reality. Western society no longer has a viable, functioning myth. Myths as in sacred tales, stories that explain the world and our experience, a guiding compass for each generation. All major world cultures are approaching a state of mythlessness. And to me, this feels like a problem the more chaotic things become. The breakdown of a central myth is like the shattering of a vessel containing precious essence. The fluid is spilled and drains away, soaked up by the surrounding undifferentiated matter. That man, Carl Jung again. Man can live the most amazing things if they make sense to him. But the difficulty is to create that sense. I'm attempting to make that sense in the Remedy Project, writing, conversations, artwork, mild comedy every Sunday. So I hope to see you along the way. Head to danieltalks.co and please subscribe and join the conversation. Thank you so much.
That was intense, man. That was cool. I felt like I've been on a right ringer. But yeah, you're giving me plenty to think about that. I'm going to have to go back and look at that. I feel like it probably needs a good bit of pacing, like to listen to it while pacing. It was good, man. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks, Daniel. We'll all be pacing to it when we watch back. So our next speaker is Ted Kinsey. So Ted is a film and darkroom photographer. He's joining us today from Buckinghamshire. Ted took up photography seriously in 2006 when he undertook a darkroom course. At this point, he set himself some very strict rules. He would only shoot on film, only in black and white. All his images would include human content, and he would print in a darkroom. His initial focus was candid street photography, finding a suitable backdrop and hanging around for ages waiting for the right person to complete the picture. He soon then started other unique projects, which, amongst many, he found himself setting up a diamond-inspired fashion shoot in front of the Gherkin in London and visiting Paris many times to record life in glass arcades built in the 1800s and known as the Passages. This culminated in an exhibition in central Paris. His third project was Under Tracks, and that's what he's going to talk to us about today. Ted is a member of London Independent Photography, or LIP. He's also founder and leader of the LIP Film and Darkroom Group. They have about 20 members. They meet monthly, and they meet in the crypt of a church near Waterloo, and they discuss their craft. It is believed to be the only such group in the UK. Ted, thank you for joining us. So
Thank you, Sarah.
It's great to have you here. I will share the screen and let me know when you're ready.
Right, okay, I'm ready, Sarah. Right. The whole world is now a photographer. So even in 2006, why did I become a film and darkroom photographer? Well, I'm a purist. From the start, I wanted to produce images like the great photographers of the 20th century, Cartier-Bresson, Bill Brandt, Jacques-Henri Latigue. Film and darkroom is very tactile. As a craft, there's nothing like it. My darkroom is my creative outlet. This project, Under Tracks, took me 3 years. This is just a selection of some of the arches that I visited. I printed nothing else during this time. Quite frankly, when I started a project, I have no idea whether it's going to work. I'm going to talk over all my photographs just so that I can tell you how I do shoot. Before I start shooting, I spend time researching. I visiting the areas that I will be shooting at. I get an A to Z map of the area, and I start to try and figure out where the railway arches will be. Then I trawl the internet to try and locate what businesses are in these areas. On the day of the shoot, I take the A to Z map, a notebook, to record who I've shot and who I've met. I prepare a calling card, which is on an A5 piece of paper. It gives my contact details, what the project is, what I'm going to do with it, and some pictures I've taken previously. And everybody is given this. It helps me to blag my way into their working premises. First impressions count. I make sure I look respectable. I also take a small digital camera with me, but of course I'm carrying the real kit, which is a 35mm and a medium format camera, a tripod. I never use flash. It's all natural lighting. I didn't think about it when I started this project, but this is social documentary work. Lots of the areas I shot in are now regeneration schemes, and the arches and their occupants have long since gone. If I find somewhere interesting, I make return visits on a different day of the week or at the weekend. I've learned to be curious. I always walk the extra mile. There are long stretches of arches, say from Deptford up to London Bridge, continuous arches for 3 or 4 miles. I knock on doors even when they're closed. I've met the most amazing, friendly people. I am recording their working day and their working life. In the 3 years of this shoot, I only got refused maybe 2 or 3 people, and I must have visited over 250 locations. When I shoot, I vary the shots. I want long shots, close-ups, candid or set-up shots. As I know I'm going to have an exhibition at the end, I want that exhibition to have a dynamic. The shots can't all be the same, so I have to try and remember what I've already shot. I thank everybody by email the next day. Why do I do that? Because I want to keep them in the loop. I want them to come to my exhibition when it's held. I get permissions if needed. I shot at Le Pan Quotidien in Waterloo, which was fine, but they told me I had to be there at 6:30 in the morning. In my darkroom, I can spend days. It's my creative outlet. Some negatives are easy to print, some are complete nightmare. I like really black, contrasty images. This particular shot you're looking at, the Severness swimming pool, I had to get permission to shoot there and indeed take my own models. This was another setup shot in the St. John restaurant. I could see this as we sat down a net, and I just asked the maitre d' and his assistants to come together and pose in front of the chalkboard. This gym in Brixton, I went there 3 times to get the shot I really wanted with the right people. As I began to prepare for the exhibition, I had over 130 photographs that I thought I could hang. In the end, I only hung 96 framed images. I got the gallery, which was in a railway arch in Bermondsey, just 100 yards from the Shard. The owners were really keen on the idea when I met them, and I shot there, and I got the gallery for free, which was just amazing. I couldn't believe it. I publicized it in every way I could. In the London listing, websites, local radio, anything and everything I could think of. The local radio turned out to be on BBC Radio London. I got a 25-minute shot, 25-minute interview. This was a shot, the frame was framed. I knew I was going to this framing business in Putney, and I pre-visualized this shot. And when I got there, I asked them if they had a very large frame that they would peer through the middle of. When it came to the exhibition, I knew that I needed all of the footfall that all the publicity that I worked on to create the footfall, and I did get a great footfall, a mixture of film and darkroom photographers, railway buffs, passing tourists. I even sold a print to the chairman of Network Rail who came, which was fantastic, as he was the landlord of most of the arches that I visited. The icing on the it's, as I said, it's social documentary work, and it was accepted into the History of London archive in the Bishopsgate Institute Library. So it's there in perpetuity. So apart from all the prints being in my boxes in my studio, or indeed on the walls of people who have purchased them, the work in the Bishopsgate Library will be there for researchers to look at and to reference back to what was happening in the railway arches in London between 2014 and 2017. It is hard work, but that's the sort of thing that's a challenge in this life, so it's worthwhile doing.
As well.
I don't want to be on video.
But we will.
Amazing. Amazing. That's so, like you said at the start, it's like everyone's a photographer these days, but you're reminding us of the analog artistry of it all, and while at the same time taking, quite frankly, beautiful photos. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. That was great. Sarah.
Thanks, Dad. That was great to see. I've heard a lot about your photos, so to finally see them was brilliant. Thank you.
Oh, can I just interject as well? Follow Ted on Instagram, Dark Room Ted. You won't regret it, I'm sure.
Thanks, Jamie. So our final speaker tonight is Nicky Bellenger. Nicky works in community engagement in the theatre and outdoor industries, and she particularly loves working with children and teenagers. She also volunteers for the ecotherapy group at Boundary Wood. She's known to be a collector of hobbies and loves giving things a go. At the age of 3, Nicky received her first pair of tap shoes and has been hitting things rhythmically ever since. After her teens, she transferred her love of rhythm from tap dancing into drumming, joining samba bands, going to workshops, and tapping on every surface possible, much to the annoyance of people around her. Nicky might be asking you to join in, so make sure you have some space around you. Nicky, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
It's really great to have you here. And let's start your presentation. So I will just move.
Yeah, ready whenever you are, Sarah. Great, so thanks for the intro and thanks for having me here. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about how I fell in love with rhythm, and you'll be pleased to know maybe that I'm also going to give you a quick fire lesson in body percussion, so hopefully you're up for taking part and not too drunk at this stage. I'm going to teach you this. Hopefully. So 2 life events that contributed to me being obsessed with rhythm. I got a first pair of tap shoes at the age of 3 and continued learning tap into my late teens when my dance school closed down. And when I was at university, I went to see Stomp, which was probably my first proper introduction into body percussion. And also at uni, I was part of a djembe band as well. So, as I mentioned, there's an opportunity for you to take part. I'm going to try and teach you that rhythm that I just played, slowed down, you'll be pleased to know, which you'll be able to play on a loop. You just need a bit of room around you, some patience, a good sense of humour, because there's not a lot of time to do this. And you can stay sitting down because we won't be using our feet. So this is the table we're going to use. The numbers at the top are the beats, and then the words underneath are obviously where you're going to be slapping yourself. Please take care. In this example, just join in with me. You're going to hit your chest on beat 1, nothing on beat 2, clap on beat 3, nothing on 4. Chest, nothing, clap, nothing, chest, nothing, clap. We'll come back to that. So a couple of years after university, I moved back to my hometown of Portsmouth and joined the samba reggae band Battler, which is a community band with no professional paid musicians in, just lots of random people from all walks of life. And this was my first proper experience of drumming with a group. And being in Battler gave me loads of fantastic experiences, which just added to the drumming bug. I played all over the UK at festivals like Boomtown and Festival, Folkestone Carnival, Goodwood, and the experience of drumming with people who have all come together through a love of rhythm is a really brilliant one that I just can't recommend enough. Battler was founded by Brazilian musician Giba Gonçalves, and there are Battler bands all over the world. And every year all of the bands are invited to come together to play at Notting Hill Carnival. And this photo is from a rehearsal led by Giba, who's in the centre, before the carnival, and there are over 100 of us in that tiny gymnasium there, which means it was obviously very loud and also very hot. With body percussion, I found that the best way to learn is just to have a play. Everybody's bodies are different. Your body will make sounds that mine cannot, and that's to be embraced. And so after this, I recommend just from the top of your head down to the tip of your toes, seeing how many different sounds you can make, and don't leave anything out, bums included. So back to the rhythm. Just copy this with me. We do chest, wait, clap, wait, chest, wait, click, wait, and we just keep looping that. So chest, wait, clap, wait, chest, wait, click, wait, chest, wait, clap, wait, chest, wait, click. An extra thing thrown in. Now sounds like this. Chest, wait, clap, wait, chest, chest, click, wait, chest, wait, clap, wait, chest, chest, click, wait, chest, wait, clap, chest, chest, click. We'll come back to it again. I hope you're hanging on. So with Battler, I also had the opportunity to play in international carnivals. These photos are from Badajoz Carnival in Spain, where we drummed all through the night without any sleep, and a Christmas parade in Vienna with Battler Austria. And from these experiences, I discovered that even if you can't speak the languages, drumming becomes a language of its own, and there's still a way of communicating through rhythm. And everywhere that I've moved to, there has been a community samba band somewhere nearby. So when I lived in Derby, I played with the band Kaleidoscopio for a short period of time. And now I'm living in Leamington Spa and playing with the brilliant band Ambassadors of Groove, who are in the top photo on this slide. All different people, different rhythms, but I'm still absolutely loving it. So we're back to this. We now do chest and a slide, which is sliding across your chest to make a different sound. Chest, slide, clap, chest, chest, click. See if you can join in. Slide, clap, chest, chest, click, chest, slide, clap. And now we're going to add 2 clicks in one beat, which sounds like this. Chest, slide, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click, nothing, chest, slide, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click, chest, slide, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click, chest, slide, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click. We'll come back to it again. Body percussion exists across a range of cultures as a means of communication, celebration, ritual and performance. For example, hambone was invented by African-American slaves who were banned from using instruments, and saman is a style of dance from Indonesia that uses percussive sounds within the dance moves. Gumboot dancing has its roots in the gold mines of South Africa, where the percussive sounds of hitting boots and clapping were used as a way of communication after miners were banned from speaking. Again, it's a language. It was later converted into a style of dance and is still performed today and influences many other performance styles as well. And of course, there are many health benefits of drumming and body percussion. Not that this is a sales pitch, but it sounds like it. I've certainly benefited from this. So drumming with a group of people is a really great mood booster and an anxiety reducer as well. And it's a good workout in a samba band because you're constantly dancing and drumming at the same time. So it definitely boosts your cardio. Last shot at this, we now do chest, slide, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click, leg, leg. So you're just tapping the top of your thighs, or you can do belly, belly if you want. That's a nice sound. Chest, slide, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click, leg, leg, chest, slide, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click, leg, leg. And now we've added a chest, weird, between beats 2 and 3 on an off beat, which sounds like this. Chest, slide, chest, clap, click, click, chest, chest, click, leg, leg, chest, slide, chest, clap, click, click. That is possibly the world's quickest body percussion lesson. This is my last slide. Hopefully you picked up some of that, or at least could have a laugh with it. You can experiment with your own sounds. You can take this grid and put different body parts in different squares, see what it sounds like. Make up your own rhythm, and with a friend play 2 rhythms together at the same time. And hopefully you'll just experience some of the love that I have for rhythm. Thank you if you took part. I hope you're all in one piece still.
Amazing. I'm definitely going to take that rhythm and try it for the rest of the evening as a fun Friday night activity. I was really struggling with it, and then I realised you said you have to have a good sense of humour as well. Mine's just debatable. But that was great. Can we find you online? Yeah, I'm sure we can somewhere. Have my notes.
On Instagram, you can search me.
I think we're going to slap you up. That sounds wrong. Now I said that. I take that back. Sarah.
On that note, thanks, Nicky. That was fantastic. So you've now heard and watched 10 amazing presentations, and the presentations have just been wonderful. Thank you, and thank you for bearing with the tech issue that I had. And I really appreciate everyone watching. And you guys have raised a lot of money. You guys have raised £680 for ecotherapy. That's amazing.
We got to get that video and spoon thing happening. I told you that was
Definitely.
A winner for sure, man. Amazing.
That's so wonderful. I know that everyone connected to ecotherapy will be delighted and will say thank you very much to you, the speakers, and to you, the audience, for all the wonderful donations you've made, and for just joining us. It's just great to have you watching. It's brilliant. And I always say this, but I'm going to say it again. It takes ages to put together a really short presentation. It takes ages and ages. These guys have worked really hard, guaranteed. They've put in huge amounts of research. They've been retaking films of carving spoons, to playing the viola, to rephotographing their artwork. It's just been wonderful, and thank you guys. This wouldn't have happened without you. And I have to say thank you to Jamie.
Yeah, and I have to say thank you to you, because that we always forget to do that. It takes so long to organise a Csa event or a Pikachu event, and so definitely a round of applause to Sarah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Thank you. It's just great to work with you guys. It's brilliant, and I've been pestering you all for the last month, so thank you for putting up with me. It would be great just to take a picture of all of us. I know we did that on the last one, and that worked really nicely. The last one, we had one of the original founders of Csa with us, and he said that at the end of their events, what they do is what they call a banzai, and everyone puts their hands out like this and says banzai all together. So if you can unmute yourselves, be nice to hear your voices. We'll probably be all out of sync. Doesn't matter, don't worry. So banzai!
Banzai! Banzai!
And it's just wonderful to have you. So thanks to the audience. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the heat as well. And thank you for spending your Friday evening watching us. We really appreciate it. And we will keep the film online, so you will be able to watch us again or later, or do forward this to your friends and family if you like. So thank you very much. And now is the
time to start lobbying Sarah for PK Volume 11. This time it's for good. Because you know, we just keep on trucking. Let's bring it on, people. Please Put yourself, no, in all seriousness, no, if you've got something to say, 20 slides, 20 seconds, get in touch with Sarah, because whether it happens in a Zoom or in the real world or in outer space or whatever, using telepathy, there will be more of these. So make sure you get in touch with Sarah and make her life easy by giving her amazing things to show off.
So we'll all wave goodbye to you guys. Thanks very much.